Hey guys, I'm Randy Unger, and this is another special edition of Under the Radar. Actually, it's our Halloween episode, and it's also episode number 13. So, interesting. Yes.
That's a good number.
So, we're going to talk about some films today, but first, I'm going to conduct a little interview with three gentlemen right here. Guys, why don't you introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Vincent Bonfanti.
My name is Sean LeeRoy.
I'm CJ Oakland.
And you guys are with Eternal Lion Productions.
Correct.
So, Vincent, tell me a little bit about the company.
Well, the company was formed, I would probably say my senior year of high school. I had a film appreciation class, which I wanted to take.
Cool.
Because pretty much I wasn't doing well in the other classes.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So, and during one of the times I was in the class, the teacher brought in this student from another class, from one of our other times the classes was on, my buddy Jake Ramos. And he came in, he came in and he had this little film, and The Matrix Reloaded was coming out at the time. It was a Matrix theme movie. It was called The Matrix Training Simulation. And we watched it. It had martial arts in it, and it had some, cool visuals and stuff. At the time, not like how the technology is today with the HD cameras and stuff. It was just cool to see that someone had this kind of interest that I wanted to do. But I'm very technologically not advantage when it comes to this stuff. So it was just cool. So I said, I got to link up with this guy.
Okay.
And, we found out we had very similar interests, same movies we like, same directors, and we've been best friends ever since.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Sean, how'd you get involved with Eternal Lion?
It was a lone casting breakdown for a student film back when I was just first kind of getting my feet wet, if you will, in the industry. And a friend of theirs was shooting a short film that would give me content that I wanted to acquire for further endeavors. So I went to the audition, and they saw me through the audition. They're like, this guy, he's the one to get him. So
Nice.
Through a whole journey of putting together the film, and by the end of it, we kind of created this relationship, this bond, and made a point to work together sometime in the future, and we did, and then it just kept on going.
And when did this initial this bond form? Like, when did you guys meet?
Is that 2011?
I think so. It was when we started doing the training for the fight choreography. That's when we really
Yes,
started
I
off.
think it was toward November, December.
Yeah.
I believe we started.
Yeah.
And so it was 2011 going into 2012.
Nice.
Right.
And ever since then, those projects we do, we always call Sean.
That's awesome. CJ?
I'm basically the newest person in the company.
The rookie, huh?
Yeah, no, I'm still earning my place here. I met Vinny through another friend of ours, where they would show up to dinner with a bunch of people, and Vinny's fiance and my friend's girlfriend work at the same bank, and they all work there. So it's literally a bunch of people at this bank all talking about bank stuff. And I'm sitting there with Vinny. We don't work at the bank. And he brings up Batman v Superman, and we just went off yelling about it.
Like you guys did about 10 minutes ago.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when we arrived at the studio, we weren't sure which door it was, and we just heard someone talk about Batman v Superman on the other side, and he wanted to burst in. Let me tell you something now. But yeah, so we got talking about movies. They told me about the movies they do, and he brought me one of the scripts, and he found out I'm a writer. I do creative writing online, and I do commission work and stuff like that. So he said, do you want to try rewriting and punch up the dialogue? So I rewrote 85% of the script. They loved it, and then they said, hey, can you write another script for us? So that's the next move we're going to try and make now.
Yes.
Okay. So what are some of the past projects you guys are working on together?
Well, a lot of the past stuff, when you start off doing this stuff, it's a lot of trial by error stuff, as you know. So I think we were trying to gain our footing with a lot of stuff. Jake's done some things because he also works for his church, and he has a lot of things accessible there that he's used to make certain films. He did a short film called Samwagita Boy, which means flower boy, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, I think I saw that last night.
Yeah.
The kid who steals.
The kid who steals
the wallet.
Yeah,
was
which was really, really good. He actually got IMDb credit for it, so that helped us to the next part in what we wanted to do as a company. So it was what do we want to do? We love action films. I've been doing martial arts since I was 4 years old. So it's let's try and do that stuff. But it's also you need people, you need a foundation, you need a crew. So little by little, we started doing little things here and there. We did a short film called Espionage, which was test footage for something we wanted to do. that worked out pretty well. We showed it off at a couple of festivals. People saw it, so it was like getting our feet wet. And then last year, well, the year before we filmed it, we did a movie called Last Breath, which Sean was our lead in.
Okay.
Great acted, great shot. It was definitely brought us to the level we wanted to be at. We put it in festivals. We won a couple of film festivals. Jake won for Best Director for the International Film Festival in Manhattan.
Yeah, Jake Ramos, the director of
Yes,
films.
he's also the co-founder of Eternal Light Studios.
Ooh, he should be here now.
I told him he's listening right now. I told him he should have been.
Yeah, there's not room on the couch, clearly. So
Yeah.
next time.
We have chairs, but next time.
Yeah, so that took it. And then last year we were also featured at the Action Urban Showcase, which is hosted by Cinemax and HBO. We were shown it in the city on 42nd Street on the big screen. So every little piece of work we do takes us further we want to go.
Right.
So now it's like, okay, let's go even further.
Mm-hmm.
And so now the film we're working on now, more people are involved, bigger budget, bigger production.
Now, have you done just shorts or have you done any features?
We talk about this kind of stuff
Mm-hmm.
because we discuss. It's like, okay, what can we do to keep people's attention that gets us noticed?
Right.
Obviously, we're unknowns, so to do a feature.
I wouldn't say unknown.
Well, unknowns in the sense of like, I consider myself the average moviegoer, and I know that sometimes based on the material, you kind of need stars to sell the material to get maybe the director's influence involved. It's like, oh, his style and that kind of stuff. So for us, it's like, what can we do to keep someone's attention? We make a movie, we shoot it, we do it like we would anything else, and then we just start stripping away to keep the pacing. So I always say when we do a film, and Jake agrees, pacing is the most important thing. So instead of doing like an hour and a half movie, we might do like a 45-minute movie.
Right.
And that's what we did for Last Breath. We wanted to do it as if it was like a short, then it turned into a feature. Then we look in and go, well, where does this fit in to where it's like a very cohesive, understandable film? Okay. So the film ran, I think it was like 45 minutes, and very well done. And it's definitely our best work to date.
Good. Now, CJ, in regards to timing and pacing, do you have that in mind when you're crafting a script?
A lot of the time. I didn't get to work on Last Breath. I met them after they had already finished the film, but I got to go around all the festivals with them, so I saw the movie like 11 times.
Yeah.
I was the guy sitting in the back going like, oh, it wasn't such a good movie to everyone else. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of movies where like if you look at the pacing and like the timing of how things are done, it's like there are a lot of things that can be a great like half-hour movie, but if you make it an hour and a half, it drags on way too long. Right. And there are other things that are like such good short ones, and you wish that there was more time to it. So that's why I really love the short stuff that they do. Like, they look at a project and don't say, like, let's just try and force this into a feature film to get it out there. They say, like, what's the best time period, and they want to stick with that and figure out, like, the best thing they can do for it.
Yeah.
Nice. Now, Sean, I'm curious, do you have any influences, like any actors that have influenced your craft as well?
We actually kind of touched on this on the way over. It's because I watched your past shows, and just to kind of see, and I was like, all right, he's always going to ask this question at some point.
Thank you.
And everything that Jim Carrey obviously was my inspiring, influence to delve into acting. But everybody, minus one actor, primarily of like the '90s, that were the big, I mean, the De Niro's, the Pesci, all the big ones, and some of the B-listers as well. Really influenced me. But if I was on a desert island somewhere, I'd have to go with Robin Williams, only because of his range of depth, and he's been in a lot of films with a lot of my other favorite actors. So it's a win-win.
Have you seen Awakenings? Him and De
De
Niro.
When was
That was 1990.
What was that about?
Williams plays a doctor. De Niro plays this patient who has some kind of illness.
Yeah. Oh no! I know what it's about. I haven't seen it yet.
Yes.
No.
See that movie?
Yes.
I think you'll appreciate it.
It looks really good.
It's so emotional. It's amazing.
Yeah.
This is a good movie.
Yeah. So, Vinny, so obviously you're a martial artist.
Yes.
How did you think of incorporating that into the film world?
Well, there's a big market today. I don't know if you see it. There's not a lot of martial art films like strictly martial art movies in theaters anymore. They have, I wouldn't want to call them B movies. They're not B movies, but they're direct to DVD. You got actors like Scott Adkins, Michael Jai White, Donna Dragon Wilson. These are all people that
Michael Jai White was Spawn, right?
Yes, he's a really amazing martial artist. There's a big market for that, but I also love it because that's what gets people's attention. A lot of the martial art movies you see today are mostly superhero movies. You know, you know, and they do a great. You got like 8711, which is like the biggest stunt team out there right now. They do amazing. They do everything from John Wick now and spun off to all the Marvel films mostly. So you know, I think as of right now, you know, me and Jake, I mean, we love the genre itself, but it's a very attention grabber because action's very stimulating to watch. Like, you know, you want to see the good guy punch the bad guy in a very stylistic format, you know? So when I think of films, I like to choreograph the movie based on the character, not like, you know, it's like two guys are fighting in a bar, you know, now all of a sudden they just start doing kung fu and all these classically trained, it doesn't really work. So you come up with styles. There's one called Jailhouse Rock, which is like a very gritty bar, like you use the stools, you use ashtrays, stuff like that. So I always have to say who's the character. So when I was choreographing Sean's stuff for Last Breath, I said, well, it's not really a martial art movie, but I'm like, but the guy knows how to handle himself. So he knows how to do maybe just disarms and stuff, you know, not necessarily backspin kicks. So I really feel in order for the audience to believe what's going on, because you don't want to go like, oh yeah, all this is so over the top. Yeah. You know, it always has to be. So I asked Sean, like, okay, how are you gonna act? What's your motivation? Give me a fake backstory.
How can you learn this in 10 minutes?
Exactly. That's it. You know, on the fly. You know, so and from there we try to strip away the pieces. You see what he can do physically. You know, which he's very good too. So and then you go from there.
Yeah, very John Woo.
Yes.
Is your style of direction.
Yeah.
and filmmaking. So how do you guys prepare for a film? After you get the script, you do like table reads?
Yeah, we do table reads. You know, the thing is that when you're independent, you know, and you have a job, everyone has jobs on the side, and everyone has to make money, you know, and then most of the money you make goes towards the project. It's timing, which is a lot. So little by little, you try and find people's availability, and you work on it. So the most thing first is the script. And a lot of times when you're independent, you really can't pay anybody, you know, because it's freelance. So like, what I want to make this worth your while, though. Maybe you could contribute some to the movie. Like, do you like this part of dialogue? You know, do you think this could be changed? You know, any ideas? You know, because I do like the collaborativeness of everyone, because that's what makes the project more. You know, you do need a director to really direct it and make sure everyone's sticking to the base of what the vision is. Because sometimes, you know, a lot of times when we write and we direct, we all have we multitask everything. Whether it's like acting one scene, running behind the camera, getting the prop, giving the guy the prop off camera. You know. So that's why we're
dedicated. That's for sure.
That's why we want to expand our team, and that's why we CJ, who writes, like, we need a writer. We need someone just to focus. So from there, we work on the script. We see what's accessible. We see where we can film that maybe people allow us to film at, you know, and do favors for them in the future, stuff like that. And then just getting everyone together. Okay, we all like this. Is this agreed on? Okay, now this is the Bible. Now we don't change the Bible. You know. And then going forward, we just stick to that.
Now, actually, speaking of the Bible, I know that Eternal Lion's kind of a Christian-oriented studio. Can you just talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. Well, Jake works for a Christian community church. He's been doing that for a lot of years. He films all their, well, I don't want to say masses, but all the events and stuff like that. And which is nice because he gets the equipment and stuff like that, and he's able to go out. And they very much they encourage him to do it because this has always been our dream to do something in film. So we try to have somewhat of a Christian-like theme or positive theme in there, you know. So because Jake's very religious, I mean, we all are in our own way. But in order to really get, like, we always like to have a moral in the story that doesn't have to be like, well, this is a story in the Bible. We're not forcing religion in there, but some sort of moral compass to the characters, you know, that you can relate to from it.
And are all of you guys religious as well? Like,
I'm not religious, but I believe in Father the Lord.
Okay.
I'm not as religious. Basically, they just asked me not to have the priest curse so much. That's
No, we're just good to, in the movie we have a priest.
It's a good rule of thumb.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, maybe you shouldn't curse them. Just saying.
So what are you guys working on now?
Right now. We're doing a movie called The Last Hit. It's a full-on action movie. It's a concept I had years ago. It took many forms, you know, and at the time we didn't have the crew or the manpower to do it. So now we're starting to. So we have another dream project after this that I've been wanting to do, but I said we need to do something to get to there.
Okay.
So this is that film. The gist of the film is it's about a hitman who his best friend is a priest.
Okay.
And they both were in the military. They went to Iraq and Afghanistan. And there's this duality of how one came back, one wanted to change his perspective on life, and one just couldn't stop it. So it's kind of like the man of the cloth and the man of the gun.
Right.
And
That's a good title too.
Yeah. And yeah. And in it, he works for a mobster, and the main character Shane, who I'm actually going to be playing, is kind of conflicted and is like, maybe I should get out, kind of thing, but the mob doesn't exactly let you out, and chaos ensues.
Okay, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Now, is that going to be a short or?
That's another thing where it's like we're going to shoot it,
Okay.
and from there, I mean, I'd probably see it about the length of our other films we do.
I like the 45 minutes.
Yeah.
It's good.
And like I said, if you can get your point across in it, because like I said, we're not Hollywood stars, nothing like that. So it's like we really want to. We're all about exactly. We really want to keep the audience attention. We really want to make the film engaging enough to where it's followed through. We don't just want to make an hour and write, scenes of dialogue that really aren't needed.
Right.
I like getting to the point.
Batman versus Superman.
Exactly. There you go. There you go.
All right, Sean, what do you have lined up here?
At the moment, I'm just kind of embarking on just getting back into pursuing acting.
Okay.
Again, I kind of taken a short break off to just kind of do a reflective type journal or like a vloggery. I keep saying vloggery, better be the right terminology. Of essentially my journey of arriving here in New York to where I am today, and the things that kind of got me to where I am compared to where I started at. And it's essentially just, it tells how the Lord and my faith and just my determination to change my life and pursue something that I was passionate about, because I came here really honestly with nothing, like $1 and some change, and alcoholic and drug addict. Oh. So after 9.5 years, I hit bottom, and I had that choice. Okay. One choice is you fight to live, the other one is no turning back. And I fought to live, and I came here, and it just kind of goes through what I just kind of talk about what I went through and how I got through it, because there's a lot of other people out there as well that have to deal with the same thing day in and day out. And it's something that I know from personal experiences. You don't always run around talking about that stuff.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I think Jim Carrey, he also struggled early on. He lived in his car. He's like homeless for a little while.
Right. Yeah.
So I could see the motivation there.
Yeah.
Inspiration. Yeah,
there was a lot of connection in that aspect when I was younger, because I come from a broken, background and a family life, and when I first saw him on A Living Color, and it was one of those moments, it was a bad day. Let's just put it that way. And when I saw him doing Fire Marshal Bill, like everything disappeared. I was happy. The dark room I was in just seemed brighter. I'm like, if he can do this and get paid for it, make people feel better, that's what I want to do, And took me a while to get to pursue it, but here I am. So.
And where are you from originally?
Originally, I started out right outside Baltimore, Maryland, and kind of passed through a few states along the East Coast, and I wound up here in 2009. Okay. My grandmother's in Virginia, and then I was DC, Pennsylvania, just kind of everywhere. So, but here I am, just bringing everything I saw and learned to the craft as well.
He's actually at the Met right now. The Metropolitan Opera. She's doing a show there.
Yeah, I work at the Met. As a non-singing performer. I don't sing because they want to keep that crystal ball up there. I'm not broken. I had a couple small like character roles and featured little roles in last season. This season, we'll see what the future holds.
What's the show you're in now?
Right now, it's Trandot.
Okay.
Trandot. Trandot.
Trandot.
Yeah.
All right.
So I knew that, and I also want to just make a mention. There's this thing called Rob Jones' Journey, where it's this. Rob Jones. He's two amputee, military vet, and he's running 31 marathons in 31 days in different state and country. And I went and I ran with him I could only make 2 miles because of my neck injury, but I did tell them they're great people, and I said I'd give them a shout out today and let people know about it.
What was the group?
It's RobJonesJourney.com.
Okay, Rob.
Yeah, and it's a good cause, very good cause for people who fight for us every day. So.
Nice. Speaking of which, side note, I just reviewed Thank You for Your Service with Miles Teller.
Yeah.
Basically, it's about the effects of PTSD after you come home from the war.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just a great movie overall. So whoever wants to see it, it's in theaters now. Anyway, CJ, what do you have lined up?
Right now, I finished writing the script for the last two things we're gonna do, the project Last Hit right now, and then also Vinny's Stream project that they had me do some reworking on.
Yeah.
So hopefully we get to that one soon. But otherwise, I'm doing I usually do commission work. I work on that. I'm actually self-employed. I'm making enough just to kind of cover all my expenses.
Okay, good.
Because I'm really interested in being available for the movie when we're doing it and holding out to do that. But otherwise, it's I'm working on 4 different novels at once, trying to make progress on them. So eventually, one day I'm going to focus on one and actually have a book out, which would be really great to have. But otherwise, I'm working on a idea for a web series that I hope to do with Eternal Lion Studios, reaching out for that. That would be a horror comedy kind of one to hopefully put out somewhere.
So speaking of genres, let's go down. What are your dream genres that you haven't worked in yet?
Oh, well, I mean, I'm such a big geek superhero genre. I mean, if I ever got to make a Superman movie, that's my ultimate dream, period.
Yes,
And it would be Jake's too.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Would you keep Henry Cavill?
Yeah, I think he's great. I don't like how the direction has been what the character says sometimes, what he does.
Right.
But I was just talking about in the car too. How he talks in real life about playing the character and how he says he understands that playing the character is a big deal, and he's in a position to do a lot of good through that character. So, and Sean, we were saying it before too with Sean, how when there's a topic that maybe needs to be talked about, if you're not someone big in Hollywood, they won't listen to you. But since you are, people will listen.
Right.
And it's all about helping people.
Right.
And I've always Superman for me has not always been my favorite thing. It's a way of life kind of too.
Wow.
Just treating people good.
Yeah.
Trying to be the best person you can be. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Yeah, I'd love to see a superhero film from you. That'd be.
Yeah,
I mean,
you give me the money, I'll do it.
The fight choreography is there. Just put on a costume and do it.
Yeah.
So, Sean, what's your dream genre? Because I see you maybe as a detective. Gritty action thriller.
Yeah, with a little bit of Kurt Russell from Big Trouble in Little China mixed in with it.
Yes.
I love it.
I've been fortunate to be able to work within pretty much the realm of the genres that interest me. I think probably my look and my build and stuff like that helps with that. But just a little bit more on the psychological thriller and stuff like Equilibrium, Fight Club, 12 Monkeys, things like that, and
American Psycho.
I was going to say it, but I forgot about it.
That's not what you're dressed as today, is it?
No, I'm a serial killer with an identity crisis.
He hasn't quite figured out what a shtick is just yet, but he'll get
By the way, here you go. It's one of my victims, a little keychain.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
I have a few.
He killed a troll.
Yeah, very good.
I didn't like his hair.
No.
But it's what I would love to do is a nice homely holiday family movie.
Okay.
And
where everything goes wrong.
Exactly. Yeah, like a Lampoon's Vacation or something.
Classic.
But I would love to just get one of those out of my system.
Yeah.
I always wanted to, and then I run back to bloody and fighting.
Right.
Like that.
I like it. You don't want to be typecast as anything. CJ, what's your dream genre that you haven't written for already?
That I haven't written for?
Right.
Because I was going to say horror is the thing I always go to is I write ideas that go into crime thriller or comedy or mystery. I like all of those, but it's I always love horror. Just the way it can really get reactions to you. And it's it can be almost any genre as long as it's horror related. There are horror movies that are psychological, horror movies that are almost action ones. There's so much versatility there, but it's the idea of finding what it is that resonates in people. The thing that builds that tension that you can't get anywhere else, that you get from horror, and that's what I really love writing.
Nice, awesome. So, guys, anything you wanna plug your website, your work?
First, before we go, I have something for you.
It's better than a sandal.
Yeah,
I will treasure this.
We got 2 things actually.
You gotta achieve my break. Don't put too many keys on.
Okay, good to know.
Okay, so the first thing is this is actually Last Breath for you to watch
awesome.
and enjoy.
Thank you.
And secondly, this is the teaser poster for our next film, and we all signed it for you guys.
Oh my God! Thank you guys. The last hit. There it is.
The prototype.
That's beautiful. I'm gonna frame this.
Yeah.
Thank
Keep
you.
that just in case you want to put that
Oh
in.
yeah, sure.
But yeah, I mean, we're on Facebook, Eternal Line Studios on Facebook, EternalLineStudios.com. We also have Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff. So
Good.
awesome. Yeah.
For myself, SeanLeeRoy.com. Leroy is with 2 E's. And, I've taken a break from, at the moment, just the social media, at least for now, the moment. I just kind of see it's just good sometimes.
Yeah, you gotta distance yourself sometimes to really appreciate it.
And so everything you can find everything there, and they also include me in certain postings with the Facebook, Eternal Line Studios.
All his work that he's doing.
And so www.SeanLeeRoy.com.
Nice. CJ?
Like I said, I do like commission work for like people bring me ideas of something that they want to see as a story, and I write it like that. Or like if they bring me a piece and I say like, here's ways that you can fix it, like the pacing or the characters, and do like editing work like that for them. And I can be reached through my email is cjoakland19@gmail.com.
Perfect.
So it's just cjoakland19@gmail.com.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much for today.
Oh, thanks for having us. We appreciate it.
I want to have you guys back sometime.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Jake.
Yes, Jake, listening?
Jake, we need you. All right, guys. Well, thank you again. And we're going to be back in a little while with our film review segment, Everyone's a Critic. We'll be right back.
That was awesome.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Of course.
Thank you for contacting us.
Yeah.
Man, you are awesome.
All right, guys, we're back. This is Under the Radar, and now Everyone's a Critic. And with me today is Ericka A. Hello.
Hey, Randy, glad to be back.
Yeah,
We haven't been together for quite a few months.
It's been a while. We used to actually work on an internet TV show, Madhouse Studios, last year. And we reviewed some movies then, and we're going to review some movies now. So, Dan, hello.
Hello. I'm officially on your show again.
Yes, welcome back. I know you have a show right after mine.
A little bit. Actually, it's at 4th of November.
Okay, in the near future.
In the near future, it's at actually at 4:15 or somewhere in that range. Where it's 4 to 5, and as always, it's the comic culture and bullshit like that.
And I believe Ericka and I will be on that show as your guest.
Yes.
So
Okay.
some crossover action going on today. Nice. So how are you guys doing today?
Well, doing fine.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm good.
Okay.
It's been a good show
No one
so
gets
far.
to talk to the host enough.
Oh, thank you. You're nice.
I'm awake.
Yeah.
So aren't we all?
Oh no. I'm actually. This is amazing that I'm awake right now.
Long night last night, huh?
You could say that.
Yeah, I know you. But
Hey, I can never pass up karaoke. Come on, man.
okay.
Okay. I only hit 3 bars.
So Ericka, I know you're a pirate /
Yes.
Applebee's waitress.
Thanks a lot.
You don't have enough flair.
Yeah.
I'm not the flare type. You're lucky I found something that wasn't black.
You
I
have
own
the
4
flair.
costumes
Yeah, but-
that are all black. I have the hooded thing. I have like the enchant. It's not the superhero enchantress. It's a witch enchantress. I have the
Oh, dear.
gothic queen. They are all black.
What if I started here?
And it's like, okay, I'm not gonna wear black.
You have to have at least 7 pieces of flair. You can't go out there with 2 pieces of flair. That's bad.
3.
You're quoting Office Space, but with a gay accent. Why? Okay. Dressed it. You look like a pirate with I don't know.
All right. Well, actually,
I'd
this.
say medieval assassin, but
Thank you. No, I actually one of my friends, 2 of my friends, Ken and Allison, which hopefully I'll have them on my show eventually. They answer me. They basically they did this thing in New York Comic Con a couple of years ago, and it was they took Assassin's Creed and they took Batman, and they basically mashed them together. So he was Nightwing, and she was Batgirl, and it looked fantastic. So I kept saying, I'm like, you know, I could definitely do something like that and just incorporate some other characters. So after much brainstorming, much usual like nonsense in my brain, I came up. I was like, yeah, Red Hood Assassin. I'm like, and then I found a couple people that I'm actually going to outsource like little details, and I'm like, okay, I need that. But Katsucon last year, I debuted him and kind of was like, all right, this works. People actually.
I remember the gauntlet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's cool.
Oh, yeah.
Does that shoot anything? Oh.
Yep.
Look at that.
So sorry it was loud there, Jim. Probably blew out your eardrum.
That's cool.
But yeah, it does the
and
this,
lower if you're gonna shoot
yeah,
somebody.
Now, is this just Assassin's Creed, or are you a mashup of something?
well, it's basically Assassin's Creed and the Red Hood from Batman.
Oh, okay, cool.
So Jason Todd. Well, eventually I'm going to get a mask where it's gonna look like the man from the Iron Mask type thing, and then it's gonna be basically.
I can see that on you. Yeah.
Have the mask on, no, like the eyes like completely out, and just like kind of like a brick thing across the face.
Are you gonna do the Leonardo DiCaprio movie version? Yeah, that's pretty badass.
I'm gonna see what they come up with, because I'm gonna use there's a company called Ruthless FX, which I met at Comic Con this year, and I asked them like straight out like what we would do for that, and they're like, mother,
Damn it!
Yes, just like old times.
oh yeah, oh yeah. I put a
You
hole
okay
in
there?
No, put a hole
Watch
in
the
the head.
couch. Don't puncture the couch.
Right
Or the mic.
there too.
Or me.
Make me very nervous right now.
All right, I'll keep my hands out like
I
this.
don't be hitting me either.
Yeah, this one's coming on. I don't know, but I'll keep myself from stabbing myself more than I have to.
All right, guys. So yeah, niceties aside,
Yes.
we're gonna review some movies today. At least 2,
Yeah.
because I know it was kind of difficult to get those screening links to you, or
Yeah. Well,
some of them didn't work.
crash pad.
Yeah,
Then
Crash
you have
Pad.
to give it to me again another time.
Yeah. So why don't we just start off with one that we've all seen?
Mhm.
It's called Mayhem,
Ooh.
and it's basically about this young lawyer who works in this office, and for some weird reason, this really crazy virus affects the office, causing people to act out their worst impulses. And Stephen Yeun from The Walking Dead,
Glenn.
he's Glenn from Thank You.
I just kept thinking of it as Glenn. I'm like, oh, it's Glenn. Hit a
Yeah.
guy with a wrench again.
So basically, yeah, he's basically in another horror thriller action comedy where he has to like fight
What did he
against.
say? It's horror.
Well,
Well,
horror-ish.
Oh, it is.
It is horror-ish.
Horror-ish.
Esque-ish. It is.
It's more
That's the-
horror than it is action, than comedy, than romance, than any. It is mostly.
Action
branching
thriller
out from
horror comedy. It's a bunch of different genres.
That's like calling mac and cheese a sandwich.
It could be with bread on it. Anyway,
Even then, that's like calling it grilled cheese. Oh yeah, it's grilled cheese because it's got cheese and bread. No.
oh, I've missed you, Dan.
No, no.
Okay, argument over.
Erica, what did you?
Oh,
Argue about the movie
This is,
now.
this is the tip of anger.
Fine, I'm gonna skid up.
All right, Erica, Mayhem, what do you think?
Okay, I actually enjoyed it a great deal.
Mhm.
Out of all the movies you forced us to watch,
I didn't
this-
force.
Okay, all the movies that we were going to talk about this week.
Did you put us at gunpoint too?
Yes, this one was
Okay.
the most enjoyable. The characters seemed really over the top, but just enough that they were still entertaining.
Yeah.
Even the minor characters, and also I appreciated that though there was all the gore and the terror, you didn't actually have to see it. It wasn't nauseating. It was just an equal amount of balance for me,
Yeah. A little over the top at times, but
in the right way.
right, it worked.
As you told me before, I this one actually I liked. I don't have too much anger towards it. There was a couple things that I did find a little like, okay, that's a little okay. What the, like why? Like
Yeah.
like
Like what, the nail gun?
yes, that
See,
angered
I met you before.
that angered me immediately. I
What
was
about
like,
the nail gun?
okay,
One of the characters finds a nail gun in the storage closet, and uses it to battle the infected
Okay.
office workers.
if anybody has ever used a nail gun or anything that's power tool related, there is two things you need to know. There is safety features right off the bat. She never used the safety feature. The way that the damn nail gun works is you put the safety thing up against the board, then you press down, and then it fires the nail. Not press the trigger, nail gun goes fire. No! No. So that was one
Yeah.
error
Right.
disbelief. That,
Well, that's why I said it right off the bat.
Error
liked it.
disbelief, I was
You're-
kinda like,
You're waiting to yell about it.
but
It's a movie. What do you want?
some like realism where it's like, oh yeah, the nail gun works this way. People are like, well,
What was
No.
real about the movie, though? You tell me.
well, nothing was real about the movie, but still,
Right.
if you're gonna use like power tools, use them right. Don't be like, oh yeah, there's nothing.
They used the elevator, right? There, I thought
Well,
of
it's
something
just
that worked
buttons.
realistically.
I like the nail gun.
Like I said,
It was silly.
I had problems with that nail gun, but no, I liked it.
Yeah.
It was definitely that the air of disbelief where it's kind of like it had that. It was like I said, it was over the top enough that it was like, oh wow, but there was a couple like again a couple of scenes where it's like Glenn, like where I'm never.
Good guy.
I'm always gonna call him.
Yoon.
I will never
Yoon?
call him Stephen Yoon. I will call him Glenn until
Yes,
I die
yes.
or he dies.
Oh God.
One of us will go before I stop calling him Glenn.
Did you like his performance?
I liked it. It was very, very good.
He was basically the same.
Yeah.
As
Well,
Glenn. A little more whiny, but still,
Yeah.
it was Glenn.
But yeah, no. But he like the one thing I kind of found a little bit like off-putting.
Yeah.
That was like every time that he was going to like hitting somebody or like killing somebody.
Yeah.
She's in the background going. He's like, stop it! Don't do that. Give me your hand.
Yeah.
Beer.
Kind of reminded me of Margot Robbie a little bit, but not as good of an actress, right, Ericka?
No, I can
What?
see it.
What
In
the
the
heck?
visual. No, in the
It
visual
looked like her.
aspect,
Visual
No,
She has blonde hair. There
no,
we go.
no. Let me
No,
continue.
similar eyes.
I was about to say, in the eyes and also in the body language, jaw and
Okay,
it was
body
the way
language, I'll
she
give her
pointed
that.
her head. It was just it
Body
had
language,
similar-
I'll give her
yes,
that.
I
But
wasn't talking about the hair. I was talking about the presenting herself.
yeah, okay.
Okay.
Compromise with that one.
Now, would you guys recommend this movie?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, definitely.
I mean, it could be a good date movie or just
No.
yes, it'll
If you've
make
been dating a while.
yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
first date, but I'm saying like old married couple,
Right,
but
right.
not if you're old.
No, I wouldn't do that to an old married couple anyways.
When they're bored, they need something to do.
Either-
That will make
They'd
them
have a
want to
heart
have
attack.
sex, or they could beat each other up.
I don't know about that.
What is this, like, an avocado? Oh, I gotta remember this.
What? Oh,
The Deadpool reference. Avocado, like, this is like,
Yeah, yes, I know.
You're
what
looking
you're
at
talking about.
avocado had sex with a little more disgusting avocado.
yeah, but it wasn't like,
Not gently.
it wasn't
Like
gently. It
hate.
was hate banging. There was no,
We're
exactly.
not resorting to violence.
okay. The
Okay.
audience, the studio audience weighing in. Thank you guys.
Because I had to remember the quote.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Woohoo!
Nice. All right. So, any final thoughts on Mayhem?
Go see it.
Yeah.
Maybe when it comes to cable, don't that? If you
Don't pay for it.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
I would say Netflix.
yeah.
Netflix.
This
is
will be on
definitely-
Netflix tomorrow or
Oh yeah.
So-
at least it was better than
Oh,
the
the
next
other
one we're going to be
Yes.
talking
oh,
about.
yeah. I'll wait on that.
So we're
one.
not going to do Crash Pad. Sweet Virginia.
Oh,
We'll make this short and sweet, okay?
nothing sweet about it. Fine,
All
talk. Go on. I'm sorry.
Okay, the plot I'm going to read. I made a note of it. An ex-rodeo rider strikes up a friendship with a young man who may be behind the violence occurring in their small town. And it stars John Bernthal from
Barenthal.
It's a Bernthal.
Barenthal.
There's no, all right.
It's silent letters.
Barenthal.
Barenthal. Aaron.
He was in the first 2 seasons of Walking Dead, and
Yes.
he's now the Punisher on.
Shane
Isn't
and Frank Castle.
Yeah,
Isn't this
He's
a
a
funny
good-
trend, though?
yeah.
Yeah.
He's a good actor. Not great, good.
Yeah.
He's macho.
He definitely has the usual like. I eat meat, I beat the hell out of people, and then walk away.
Very macho actor. But this
He's a
movie.
sweetheart when you meet him.
Yeah, oh, you met him.
Oh yeah, he's a sweetheart.
Oh, cool. What Comic Con was it?
That was at Big Apple Con. He was upstairs.
Okay.
He was actually leaving. I was coming up to fix something that had gone somewhat wrong.
Okay.
And he was like, he ran into me. He goes, "Oh, buddy, sorry about that." I'm like, "Hey, John, how you doing?" Like, "Oh, yeah." I actually, because I didn't even think at the time that I saw him, and I just like, "Oh, John, hey, how you been?" Or "How you doing?" And he's like, "Oh yeah." It goes on to a little a tangent. He goes, "All right, well, I got a room. I'm kind of moving, and I got to eat something. I'm starving." I'm like, told him like, "If you get pizza, stay away
So
from this
he's
place."
not a macho douchebag.
Yeah, he's a very
he's
an
okay.
extremely nice guy.
That
he
is
will-
refreshing. That is good.
There are some douchebags when you meet them in real life, but there's a good amount of people that actually they're really good.
I like Barenthal, but not in this movie, unfortunately. He is just mumbling throughout the whole thing. It's about an hour and 50. It's too long.
Too long.
Hour and 45 minutes. I had to count it
Yes.
because I was like counting when I could understand him.
He's like,
The only time I understood him was at the end.
Oh,
I don't want to shoot you.
Yeah.
right.
Really?
So yeah, I didn't
Well,
like
don't
it
give
either.
away the ending. There might actually be one person in the whole universe who might actually enjoy the movie.
With who? Do they have brain surgery when they did this? Did they remove their eye sockets?
Well, yes, they had to remove their eye sockets and remove their heart and their lungs.
Erica, I
and
want to
everything
know,
else.
what did you think of this film?
I thought it was slow-paced and bleak and frustrating and
Mm-hmm.
discouraging and not quite nauseating, just irritating, and you just wished all the characters were someone else. You know what I would have enjoyed?
Mhm.
Maybe more about the cops in that one scene who were like, oh, maybe we shouldn't ask questions. Why don't they solve the crime instead of having all these
Yeah,
wasteful characters?
bad. Just
And it's
terrible.
like you have the wife, you have the lawyer, you have the rodeo guy, you have the other one. And it's like, I don't care about any single one of these
Yeah.
characters. I wish they all would vanish. And then there was the mother, and there was the money, and it's like
I think
no congruency, no flow, no.
I think
No,
I fell
nothing.
asleep at least twice during this.
You didn't miss anything.
Just once for you, Dan?
Yeah, just once for me.
I walked to
But-
another room.
but
and
at the
let it
same
play.
time-
Okay.
I went to the kitchen and made a snack.
Nice.
But at the same time, this was another one of those movies that I think I needed a little bit of a liquid encouragement to kind of get through again. It was
Yeah.
less. I will say it was less worse than when I had to watch opening night. But
That was our second episode, actually.
yeah, I wanted to put a screwdriver in my brain socket because of the
How about a nail gun?
Or a nail gun.
Well, I would make it actually work the right way, but it.
All right.
But
Yeah. Final thoughts on.
wait a minute.
Oh, you want to keep going?
I-
Keep going. Keep
I don't know.
searching.
That one was too painful for you.
Oh no, no, Randall. When have you ever known me never to want to be rageful towards
Oh,
any of the movies you
Here
give
we go. Round two.
me? Round 2 is not even the case of this one. This is
No,
round
it's a
5,
round two.
19. Oh, there. No, this. I'll keep it short. My
No,
anger
go
around.
for it. Tear it apart.
It's
Going
fine.
for it.
It's fine.
Okay, so the fact that they. Oh, I definitely will say it was a boring film,
Yeah.
Yes.
to say the least.
Very dull.
But at the same time, they gave you a lot of plot,
Mhm.
but never explained it. It's like giving somebody a BB gun and saying, "Look at the pointy end," which again doesn't make sense because there's no pointy end on a BB gun.
Okay.
It literally, they started off with the rodeo. They don't explain it.
Right.
They go to this next part. They don't explain it. They go with the cops. They don't explain it. Oh, we'll let them do this. I'm gonna curse. I am gonna curse.
All right. I'll let this.
Oh, you're letting this one slide.
Yeah.
Or you could just bleep it out.
No, there's no
Yeah, we
bleeping
don't-
this
This
out.
is live.
This is live, straight out live.
I meant you bleep yourself. You say
Oh.
No.
That would be funny.
this. You just bleep and bleep and bleep.
Damn.
Like,
Then I would be like the movie, not making sense.
Well, we're talking about the movie. I'm following the trend.
Yes.
So, anyways, with the cops, oh, it's not our problem. We shouldn't figure out. You're the fucking police. That is your job. Literally, you are paid to find out who is beating somebody, killing somebody. Do your job.
Yeah.
God.
All right. Moving on.
Yes.
No, he's gonna have an aneurysm. I don't want.
No. I can keep going. I got an hour before my show, so I can calm down.
And then there's all this talk forever about what happened to it and how she gave him the cell phone number, and now she finds out. And it's like, what about this? These characters that don't exist that they're talking about forever.
Mhm.
We get plot about this person, but we're never showing this person.
Mhm.
They're there.
And they're there. And they apparently are very important and very relevant to holding the
Yeah.
whole
Oh,
plot
oh, yeah.
on hold for how long?
A half an hour.
Before it was like, oh yeah, we're just never going to show them. We've forgotten all about them, and now we're moving along.
Probably the part where I started drinking.
And the
heavily.
basketball. And then there's
Did you
the
really?
basketball
Oh yeah,
games.
I had two beers right at that point. Started going. I'm like, drink.
And the irrelevant
Drink.
basketball games.
There we go.
Mhm.
Oh.
Don't forget
Oh,
that.
yeah, that
Oh
random
no! I
basket,
think
yeah.
I wanted to forget that because it's like, no, you're doing great.
Why
Where?
do we care?
We're showing.
We don't care.
We're showing you got teamwork. Oh no, actually no. I have to do it. I got to do it like Barenthal. But I think you're doing good. Where, champ? Boomhauer, open your mouth.
Okay.
All right. We're gonna move on to the next movie because you're gonna have an incident. I don't want to be the cause for that.
I'll never have an incident.
Okay.
Batman
Final
Superman was my
thoughts?
incident.
No.
No. So final thoughts. Do
That
not
was my
see this
incident.
movie, whatever
Oh,
it's
yeah.
called.
Even if you're a hardcore John Barenthal fan,
Do not see it.
Do
Doesn't
not see it.
anything.
Sweet Virginia, not so sweet.
No,
All
Not
right.
so Virginia either.
Yeah.
I don't even think they were in Virginia.
Exactly.
The title lies.
I know. I don't think they are. I think they're
Guys.
far, far away from there.
All right. So, did you guys see the final film or?
Which one?
Okay,
It
I'm gonna
was-
curse now, but this isn't the actual title.
This is actually the title.
Yeah.
Oh no, that one.
We're gonna
No.
just touch on it. We're gonna touch on it.
I didn't attempt it because it was like
It was
I-
short, but ugh.
It was an hour and 13 minutes, but it was pretty disgusting.
it was an hour and 13 minutes of probably fatso,
Yeah.
which was just dick and fart jokes the whole time.
And essential. Okay, so basically the movie's called Assholes, and it's a very small film. It's about a
That's
random.
right, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it.
You heard it right.
Assholes.
Assholes. Yes.
Assholes is the name.
And it's about a young couple. They kind of fall in love. They get together,
And they're assholes.
and they have herpes too.
That's the only reason they're together.
You know, and their addiction to poppers.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, no. I'm not even saying that poppers. I'm like, all right, but herpes.
They
Yes.
have herpes.
They have herpes.
She gets it from a bong from her what was it, roommate or something,
I think it was her brother.
brother, whatever, roommate, and she
I
meets this
don't know.
guy. They fall in love. They're kind of star-crossed
They
lovers in
have
a way.
herpes.
They have herpes. Yeah, it's disturbing. And there's scenes with
Oh,
excrement.
and then there's all the crustiness all over their face. It's nauseating to
It's
look at.
it's horrible. And I don't even.
Is it kind of like watching Supersize Me?
I think it's a lot more clean than that. But I can see from your facial expressions and your reactions that this was not your favorite movie.
No.
No.
I don't even know why I agreed to review this movie.
I saw. You're lucky I didn't give you a text after this movie.
I know your text, yes. But I was intrigued by the title.
Why?
I thought it would be interesting. It's a very bizarre film, and yeah, Mr. Hoffman in the front.
You're intrigued by an asshole.
The title, I don't know. It could have meant something else.
Well, no.
Okay,
Just two letters. N-O. No, it wasn't going to be about anything else.
okay. Do you know what comes out of an asshole?
Okay. So, final thoughts?
No. We're answering this
No.
question.
Actually, something even better comes out of their asshole. The devil or something.
Oh, a demon. Yeah.
Whatever.
Spoiler alert.
I didn't get that far. I stopped after the first 2 minutes. I'm like, herpes,
That was
done.
the only redeeming part. It was like, and then it's like, I closed my eyes
redeeming?
again. I didn't watch the movie. I had it playing. It was that disgusting. It was like, why? Why?
That's a good
No,
question.
no.
Yes. No.
You're lucky I didn't get past like the first like 5 minutes.
Oh,
Immediately
God,
on her
I'm not
herpes.
dying. Yeah, the herpes.
Done.
And then they
But you know
shoving
what?
it all over,
Yeah.
and then the crust. Then it was like, and then it was like, just why? Please be over the movie. Please be over. It's really, really short, and it's not ending. Can I just fast forward to the end? It's still gross. It's still horrible. Why?
All right, let's just try to delete that movie from our collective memory because
Kind of like opening night.
that's a low blow, sir. Oh, and wait a minute. I think we have a special surprise. Wait, surprise guest.
Yeah.
Who's what? Mr. Robin Channing.
Whoa! Yes. Hey, I'm here.
Whoa, hey, welcome.
Very
How is
nice.
sir?
He just
Very
flew
good.
in from
Yeah.
Greece and Egypt,
Yes,
so
yes.
Yes, I got
Where
back
are
from an
your arms
international
tired?
trip kind of thing.
yeah,
Right.
and boy are his arms tired.
And
Yes.
I have been a guest on this show more than once, and I have done my fair share of movie reviews.
Yes.
So I feel your pain.
No.
And
It's not that bad.
in the interest of my continued friendship with Randy, all my previous threats of bodily harm to him have not come to pass.
Thankfully.
And Vin, it's so appropriate that this poster features a bullet in the design because based on the movies you guys just reviewed, I think I just dodged a few of these. All right.
You did.
So I just had to incorporate that.
You did.
And speaking of incorporation, Vin, furthermore, it was not that much of a stretch or not that much of a surprise the fact that you use like this kind of a delivery device.
Yes.
It's also not that much of a coincidence either that Sean referred to Jim Carrey in his movies because I brought with me something that more or less brings all that together. All right.
Oh.
So I'm just hoping that this will work.
Without exploding.
I'll be kind of just as surprised as all the rest
Should
of
we
you.
all
with
duck
this-
the
with this
cover?
work. Now, look.
Hold on.
Wait, here. I'm not going to try to give everything away, but Randy, can you verify for me that we have what the contents are? You have
Yes.
one box. No,
Oh,
take it
don't
down. I
touch
just wanna
things.
see.
You have a box. You have a box.
A box
and
here. There's an envelope in there,
an
and
envelope.
then there's the edge of what is like a DVD movie.
Yeah, it looks like a DVD.
Stop touching things.
Okay, that's all I want you to know at the moment,
Got
right?
it. All right.
Okay. Now, the first of the items that I want to bring out is the box, and the box you'll notice is very, securely wrapped
And
Because-
dented.
because inside said box, what's left?
Kind of
of it?
like most packages
Oh, I
coming
thought it was
from
a
all the
VHS,
different.
to be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah. Right. Yeah. First off, VHS.
Whoa.
Okay. Large. This is a big card trick. Okay. As a matter of fact, could you? Is
Yeah.
there like a napkin over here?
I don't have a napkin.
Okay. Yeah.
It's all right.
Okay.
Got my hand.
Okay. So
All right.
here's the deal.
Okay.
Ready.
Let me just
Hold on.
Hey,
set.
come on and wipe.
Let's
Set the stage.
let's
Set
wipe.
the stage. Okay.
Thanks.
All right.
Good.
You can
Good.
see this
Top
is,
spot there, yes.
Pardon the pun. This is a big card trick. Okay. Now, here's the thing,
Okay.
Randy. This
Yeah.
is all gonna
Oh,
be
I
on
sat in
you.
the corner.
Okay,
Awesome.
guys.
Sound on your gut.
What's gonna happen?
Oh.
Oh, okay. I'll let you have your moment then.
No. I
Okay,
sat
what's
in
gonna
a corner.
happen?
It went right in places I don't.
Right
want to
up
talk
Main
about.
Street then?
Yes.
To further the Deadpool references?
Yes.
All right, that sucker went up Main Street. Now,
All right.
Randy,
Yes.
okay, this is going to be on you. So the pressure is on you. You see, this is like revenge for us because we're going to
Oh
put the
yeah,
pressure on him.
absolutely.
All right.
Oh no.
All right. Payback. Now, what I need you to do is to cut that deck of cards. And complete the cut. Dude, you reset the deck.
Like that, you mean?
What are you doing? Okay.
You're messing everything up.
Yeah, I know, right?
Pressure.
Okay, yeah. You know what? Oh, okay, it's right here. Okay. Basically, just do that. Okay.
No, I always get Robin. I always
There
get,
we go.
There.
I always get
There.
revenge. He knows.
Okay, he's getting better. He's learning.
Yeah.
He's getting better. Okay, let's see you do that again.
Okay.
All right. There and there. Okay.
There we go.
How about this? How about this? I can't see what's going on over here, right? Because you don't have the monitor going on, right? Okay, and here's the thing. I'm going to give you, Randy, the chance to cut the cards one more time or not to cut the cards one more time. And to screw me up at your option, you can even make sound effects on the table just to throw me off, all right? So either cut the cards one more time or not cut the cards one more time. I'm not going to be able to know. Can we agree on that?
Yes.
All right? So I won't know this. Then let me know when you see, he can fake me out right now. He could just take the whole deck, slam it on the table, and just do some stuff with it. But I don't know if he cut the deck for real or if he pretended to cut the deck. Either way, he has an opportunity to keep me in the dark.
You're good.
Okay, I'm good. I can turn around?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Randy,
Yes.
what I want you to do is to take the top card, but keep it to yourself. Look at it. Look at it. All right? Don't share that information with anybody else, especially the home audience. And jam that sucker straight in the middle of the deck, somewhere in the middle, okay? Okay? Very good. Now, here's the thing. Oh, square everything up. Now, just everything. Okay, yeah, square it up, square it up. You see how that works? This was totally hands off. I mean, I could have been like way over here, and you could have done all the same things.
You done through Skype.
Yeah, I could have done that. I could have done this through Skype. I just nailed the thing. I mean, only apropos because I got mailing items over here. All right. Now, Sean, you made reference to Jim Carrey. Have you seen all of Jim Carrey's movies?
Oh, possibly. I think Yes Man I've not seen.
Yes, man, you have not seen
that. Yeah.
So you have seen the rest of them. What do you know about this one?
Oh.
A lot.
A lot.
Well, I can't quote you stuff, but it's a good one.
Yeah.
Very good.
The number 23. He's like obsessed with this number. Everything revolves around the number 23.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And we could go into detail about that. But you know what? The reason why I brought this is because that obsession spilled over into my work. I've developed my own obsession with the number 23. So much so that obsession has led into this piece. Now look, that's a really big deck of cards which I didn't touch. I put that on the table. I left everything up to you. You did everything.
Right.
Now, you see the number 23 relates to this. In fact, could you turn over one at a time, face up, 23 cards? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Stop! You see, you will notice that there's one last piece of it, one last item inside of this. That would be this envelope with a window and a playing card inside of it. Now, Randy, at the very beginning of this, you had selected a playing card. For the first time, name that playing card that you had selected.
6 of Hearts.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
You sure it wasn't black?
It was black.
It was Black Hearts.
Yeah, it's spades.
Right, that's
You see,
I thought that was a heart.
Oh,
How is that?
if it was black, it's a spade,
You
right?
need to walk the plank right now.
I am sorry.
Okay. Your spidey senses need some more tingling.
I'm
my
definitely
friend. All right. But you know what? The number 23, you see, not only did the envelope have this prediction in here, but the 23 cards later.
Oh my.
Oh my, look at that, look at that, look at that. Oh! Woo! All right.
Nice.
Yes? That worked? Cool. All right. That was my thing. Okay, now I gotta take all my crap and get out of
Oh, you're done? Okay.
Just gotta fly back.
That was like
Yeah,
my
Egypt.
fly back.
I know. Yeah.
Prepare for liftoff.
Yeah, exactly. But just wanted to bring all that in and take a few jabs at my friend Randy over here.
Oh,
And thank you for having me once again on Under the Radar.
Thank you, Robin.
Thank
Which
you.
the jabs I constantly give.
Yeah, right.
It never gets old.
Thank you for starting that because then I got to go in on the fun and just vent off all that pressure and frustration that I've had on him. Okay.
Thank you.
And let him have it. Thank you, Dan.
Yeah, no worries. I give people anger very fast.
Okay. Clearly.
Either a good thing or a bad thing. Not sure.
All right, guys. So we got like a minute and a half left. Anything coming out you want to see in the theaters?
Thor.
Thor Ragnarok.
Yep.
That's it.
Yes, I'm seeing Hercule Poirot, Mystery on the Orient Express, even
That's
though it has
intriguing.
been made way too many times. Why don't they pick another Agatha Christie book?
Mm-hmm. All right. Great cast, though.
Oh, absolutely.
Looking forward to that.
I'll actually, yeah, now think about it.
What about The Last Jedi?
Nah,
It's a hit or miss.
Oh, come on!
I'll see it. But I'm
I knew
not
that was
sure
gonna
I'm
get it.
excited about
I'm gonna
it.
chime in on this shit.
Oh no, I'm really
That's
excited.
like
I'm
saying,
really.
oh yeah, Justice League's coming out.
Oh, God.
Mm.
Not looking forward. I mean, I love DC and all, but I don't think it's going to do well.
Yeah, you're wearing Marvel.
I know. I'm an enigma wrapped in a riddle. Guys, you have anything you want to plug?
Is that English?
I've been working for another production company, but I'm not sure if I'm allowed to plug them or not.
Okay.
And just been focusing on my own writing. I've created a whole new country on my third, about season 3. I know I've never gotten any of it published, so it doesn't really count.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been focusing on the other dimension mostly. They're not on Earth anymore.
Okay. Cool. And Dan, anything?
Shaggy
GB?
Yeah, Shaggy GB on Facebook.com. Check us out. Check me and my lovely co-host Tomcat on our show Comic Culture. That's going to happen at 4-ish.
RobinChanning.com. That's my website. I forgot to go.
Oh,
over
yeah.
that.
RobertChanning.com. That's
Thank
also
you.
Robin over there.
Yeah, that was me.
Did the quick magic that made Randy look silly.
Yeah. Well, I think I have to study my
Oh,
shapes.
man.
I'm going to do some studying now.
I'm going to take my black heart now and do something
Yes.
else.
Wow.
But no, we're doing the old. I'm like, oh wait. So
Right.
also,
Yeah.
I'm in the Village Connection too. So we're part of the radio vision.
I think Erica and I are going to be on your show in about an hour.
Yep.
So look forward to that, guys.
I'll hopefully be awake for that one.
Yeah. Don't worry. We'll keep you awake.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So this has been Under the Radar, a special Halloween edition. And yeah, I want to thank everyone for being on the show today. And we'll see you again next Sunday. And thanks for watching. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, embarrassing.